An indulgence. This episode, it's an indulgence. So I know I talked about Pokemon Go during the last episode, but, okay, I said this on Twitter, but Nintendo and Niantic basically thrust the gamer mentality onto the real world, and the real world doesn't know how to deal with it. I have been utterly fascinated by the Pokemon Go phenomenon. Yeah, I'm not playing it, that's true, but it doesn't mean that I'm clueless. I still think it's a perfect storm moment we're seeing here. It's 90s nostalgia, the original Pokemon generation is old enough to have disposable income and kids of their own, the technology has reached a point that augmented reality is fairly obtainable, and most important to Pokemon Go gamers, the groundwork has already been laid by people playing Ingress. But that's not really what fascinates me as much as how the rest of the world, the non-gamers, are handling things. A lot of news outlets are reporting this as a fad.
But people are going all around Nashville trying to catch these Pokemon in hopes that right there, they can catch them all.
But it's already got millions following their smartphones to the most random places.
In Sarasota, 84 in St. Pete right now. Got a Pokemon? She's looking at Pokemon right now.
But I really think we're seeing something bigger here. Okay, it's way too early to say things like this, but Pokemon Go is going to be a game changer. And I mean that literally. It's going to change how we play video games. Somewhat, sort of, kind of, maybe. But okay, let me explain this. But okay, I'm not going to say that I told you so, but... So I'll start by patting myself on the back with what I predicted last episode. Would non-athletes be willing to climb a rock face in order to catch a virtual creature? From all that I'm seeing happening right now, the answer is yes. Well, 2 players in California fell off a cliff while playing Pokemon Go. I also said nobody had caused a car crash, but it's been 2 weeks and there's been at least 2 confirmed and possibly more that I haven't heard of yet. And let's see, some teens got caught in a cave while looking for Pokemon, another woman got caught in a tree, and I found this warning from an energy company and thought, why would they have to tell people not to play around high-voltage transformers? Then I found the companion story of 3 teens stopped by security in a nuclear power plant hunting Pokemon. Let me go back to my opening statement. This is what I mean by the gamer mentality being thrust into the real world. Like I said last episode, gamers are just used to doing whatever it takes to achieve a goal in a game setting, regardless of the real-life dangers or the social problems that it causes. Okay, yeah, to that end. There's been a lot of people playing Pokemon in, disrespectful ways, like catching Pokemon at the 9/11 Memorial, at the Arlington National Cemetery, the Holocaust Museum. Several police departments and departments of transportation have been issuing warnings to people not to play Pokemon Go while driving. And I have to believe that Nintendo and Niantic had to consider this, but they might have just dismissed it, figuring people are smart. But yeah, any future ARG is going to have to take this into account because gamers are being gamers. It's really easy to dismiss things like this as just stupid gamers, but I don't because, okay, think about this for just a second. How many people do you know in the online world who would do stupid stuff like this for a game? Like, skip a shower, or forget to eat dinner, or, pull an all-nighter, grinding on mobs, trying to get that one drop, right? We all know somebody like this. For lack of a better way to put this, we've been programmed to do this by the video game companies and by these games, and now we're just applying that same mentality to the real world. There's this kind of mentality in games that everything's okay as long as it's in the game context. In any video game, people regularly do things that just are not done in the real world. If the game lets you do it, right? Meanwhile, in the real world, that doesn't work. You're hunting Pokemon, that's nice. The real world doesn't know that. You're either loitering, obstructing, or endangering yourself or other people. So, it's so bad that... Okay, so I've been shown that this is a Photoshop. Here's the original image, but the sentiment is real, and many, many stores and shops have put up legit signs like this all over the place. No Pokemon Go allowed, loiter somewhere else, and there's the private signs too, but we'll come back to this one. So yeah, there's a lot of people who've just dismissed Pokemon Go, get off my lawn kind of style here, right? But not everyone. One of the things Pokemon Go has done effectively is it's put gamers outside, because all the achievements that you need to do, you need to go out into the real world to go do. So we've been lacing up our shoes and we've been going outside. En masse. And the world has noticed. I want to emphasize that I live in a pretty small town here in Wisconsin, and, well... So this is the location that I was at the other week when I was doing the episode, and it's midnight right now, and there's still people out here playing Pokemon Go as I'm speaking. Not as many, but I can see across the river right now there's about 3 people walking over there, 3 people walking over there. I think there's like 4 people walking around behind me. Midnight and people are still playing Pokemon Go on a weeknight. once again, middle of nowhere, Wisconsin. I can't even imagine how about larger places.
And I woke up the next day for work at like 8 o'clock, and there was like 500 people going, and by the end of that day it's like 2,000, and today it's 9,000.
From what I hear, Central Park is completely inundated with trainers almost 24/7, and I'm pretty sure that's an exaggeration. At least I hope it is. And I know in Chicago there was a planned Poke meetup at the Lincoln Park Zoo in Chicago that had about 3,000 people show up. Lincoln Park Zoo did issue a welcome and a small hint to stay on the trails.
Alright, the zoos, that's right, yeah. Okay, so not every place that's a Pokestop or a gym is pushing people away. On the contrary, most of them are, welcoming players, open arms, please, come in.
Some of the first places I found really embracing Pokemon Go were the zoos, and yeah, a lot of zoos tweeted, yes, we have Pokemon stops, come see real animals like gorillas and pandas and, the sea loins. But it doesn't stop there. I posted these pics on Tumblr, and one Tumblr poster put up some pics that they took at their local botanical gardens. Same kind of thing. The National Park Service has actually fully embraced Pokemon Go.
We'd like to welcome all you trainers to your national parks, so you might find more than just a new virtual companion.
The video is on Facebook. It is absolutely glorious. I've even read that the National Park Service was working on their own app well before Pokemon Go came out, but this has given their parks and monuments a well-needed boost in traffic. Museums, they're a little more hesitant in some cases. They look at what Pokemon Go players did to the Murakami Museum, and they get a little hesitant. Murakami has otherwise embraced the game and its players, but man, that's just wrong.
And a lot of fine art museums look at pictures like that and they say, what the hell happens when these trainers do that to something like a fine art painting? And they'd have a good point on that. And besides, a lot of these patrons of these places, they don't want to get trampled by a stampede trying to get a tongue at chew. What is it, a lick-a-tongue, Gene Simmons, whatever. But the point is that a lot of them just don't want to deal with that. But you can't deny the facts. It brings in the bodies.
From a business standpoint, attracting Pokemon Go trainers is very profitable. Inviting Pokemon Go players to come, or just offering them incentives, doesn't take a marketing genius to figure out that's a good idea. A good example, Crystal Bridges, it's this museum in Arkansas. They put out an invitation and they saw a 30% increase in visitors almost overnight. And that's just people who check in, not people who look around the grounds. And not just museums. And again, I'm in the middle of nowhere, Wisconsin. Businesses have put up signs welcoming trainers. And in fact, these are all over the place. Coffee shops, pizza places, restaurants, they're all offering discounts. Places to charge your phone, have a sit down for a little while, have some coffee. And in the irony category, churches are starting to embrace Pokemon Go as a way to attract people. There are articles and videos from pastors telling other churches how to use the game.
And I really believe that it can absolutely revolutionize the way our churches are doing both personal evangelism and outreach, and that is none other than Pokemon Go.
I plant this in the irony category because of,
So Pokemon is a game that teaches children how to enter into the world of witchcraft, how to cast spells, how to use psychic phenomena, how to put to work supernatural powers against their enemies, how to fantasy role play. Pokemon World is a world of the demonic.
But Pastor Susie, he makes a really good point. Not just for churches, but for the world, really. I've seen a lot of web pages telling businesses that Pokemon Go is a far more effective advertising tool than anything else right now. You drop a lure, and people will come. Tell them you're dropping lures, and they're going to bring friends. And oh, hey, you can sell chargers in the gift shop, too.
You might think that that's a cheap shot. It's not. That's supply and demand right there. I originally thought that only large companies would be able to cash in on this, and I was wrong. Everybody can cash in on this. All you gotta do is you buy a pack of lures, you pop them every half an hour, and you have an instant crowd pretty much all night long. Yeah, but to be fair, it's not all about profit.
Something about gamers, we tend to want to use our powers for good. To that end, you've probably seen this image. It's made the rounds several times, imploring players to drop lures at children's hospitals so that kids can play Pokemon Go in the hospital. In fact, I know several Extra Life chapters have been organizing Pokemon walks all across the country. It gets people signed up for Extra Life, and it raises money to help these kids in the hospitals. The app is even being used as a method for physical therapy.
I can say, hey, the guy's a little bit lower, can you reach down and get him? And that's just a really tricky way that physical therapy or occupational therapy can get a kid to do the exercises that he was screaming and crying about 5 minutes ago that he didn't want to do. But now, not only does he want to do it, he's trying to catch that Pokemon.
And if you're an animal lover, there's the Pokedog phenomenon too. This is the Facebook image that has launched a movement. An animal shelter put out the call asking people to come walk their dogs while walking for Pokemon. And they showed up. A lot of people showed up, and so many that they actually ran out of leashes for people who wanted to volunteer. I've seen similar programs pop up in Oklahoma and North Carolina, and hell, they don't even need a program. A lot of players have just been volunteering their time at local animal shelters just to get their steps in. But I think more importantly, Pokemon Go has pulled a lot of players out of their home. Now, I've tried to find the origin of this post, but it's been buried under mountains of other posts. People are walking 5 and 10Ks now who would never do so before. It's way too early to call this a fitness revolution, but it certainly gets people moving. Actually, a lot of people have pointed out that Pokemon has kind of been a way to Nintendo's been trying to kick people out of their house for years now, but Pokemon Go actually did it. People are exploring their own neighborhoods and they're finding street art and historical monuments. They're going to museums and parks, and that's something that pop culture really believes that gamers are completely incapable of doing.
Okay, granted. A lot of people are going to show up to these sites and they're going to get their Pokeballs and they're going to leave. I completely understand that. But on the other hand, one thing I keep on hearing from gamers is they're saying, wow, I didn't know this was here before. What they've done is they've turned gamers into urban explorers, and I think that's why Pokemon Go is going to be a game changer. Like I keep on saying, it's way too early to be calling it like this, but what they've effectively done is they've changed how gamers look at the world, and they've kind of changed how the world looks at gamers too.
The success of Pokemon Go is going to shake up the gaming industry, so my predictions, in the coming months you're going to see a glut of copycat games. None of them are going to have the impact of Pokemon Go though, because they just don't have the nostalgia factor. You know, the only possible contender would be Digimon, but I don't think it's going to be the same. So instead, game companies are probably going to try other ARG-style games. John over at MMO Grinder, he showed me an ARG first-person shooter game concept, and I am both fascinated and horrified at what's going to happen when civilians don't know players are holding cell phones and not firearms. Okay, and a little more mundane. I'm really hoping Novus Magic takes off before someone gets the bright idea of making a Harry Potter ARG in the same vein. And I know I talked about Zombies Run. Now imagine a fitness-style ARG that makes training less tedious. A Kinect-style game in which you can take it to the park and work out. There's no real limit here. Pokemon Go has effectively changed how we can think about the concept of mobile gaming because the world is our platform now. It definitely won't replace the console anytime soon, but it offers an alternative. It offers a chance to get together, socialize, and hang out with other gamers. So, yeah, Pokemon Go has put the gamer mentality into the real world. And, yeah, you see a lot of people wearing the horse blinders just trying to catch them all. You see morons in the game, they put the game over their own safety. And you see signs like this from people trying to deal with all these mindless Poke-zombies. But then I see signs like this one, and I'm reminded of the other side that doesn't make the news. The side of gamers that connect with others through this medium of games. That side that motivates themselves to get up and go do things. The side that's going to go out into the real world and make it a cooler place by using the games they love so much. And I think that's going to be the part that's going to last.
Something I talk about a lot is the disconnect, this wall that we play video games in front of all the time. And okay, yeah, Pokemon Go has that wall too, but it's handheld. You can put it down. You can talk to real people in real places, and I think that's really the power of Pokemon Go. A lot of people are saying that Pokemon Go is a fad, and I hope it's not, because anything that brings people together like that, it's a good thing.
For the last time, I am not a Pokemon, and I am not getting in that ball. Sheesh.